Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Infallible Season 3, Episode 2, I think? No, is it 3 or 2?
I don't even know anymore, man. I've lost track.
Bro, it's been a while since we last recorded. There were a bunch of things that happened, and like the university gets in the way. So, and I know your uni's very busy, so
Yeah.
you've had sort of issues with that. But today I'm joined obviously with my co-host Sona,
Hello?
and we're joined with special guest EK, who's come from the racism episode.
So,
And we are going to do a racism part 2 eventually, but for now, we're going to be doing red pill content. That's the topic for today. But before we start, I wanted to, we're going to do some small talk. So how are you lot doing today?
I'm
Yeah,
not-
Anything
well.
interesting happened?
yeah, we just, yeah, I've just been chilling.
Nothing interesting happened with me.
Just been
Yeah.
existing?
I mean, obviously, I've just
Yeah.
been doing my, I've just been doing my driving pretty much, but I don't know. It's going well.
Oh, come on,
but,
same.
Yeah, but the thing is, I need to negotiate that price, and though I can't be paying.
Driving is
45
hard,
pounds.
you know.
Yeah,
No, it's not, man.
45.
You guys are just dead at it.
yeah.
It honestly, the hard part isn't driving the car. Well, that is kind of hard, but the hard part is road sense. Like that's where I'm kind of stuck, honestly.
Yeah. That
That's-
is the
that's-
hard part. You're right.
Mm.
That's what I'm
Being
trying to
able
figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But once
usually
you get
like
that
when
done,
yeah, my instructor's always yelling at me like, "Why did you go that way? Why'd you stop there?" And I'm like, "Oh crap, I forgot I have the right way here." And oh man, it's a piss take. I've forgotten all my theory as well, so it's a bit of an issue.
theory is not a big deal. It'll come to you when you need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking as
It's
well.
kind of obvious what most signs are trying to tell you to say, and it's not like you're going to be driving in like village roads where there's like a warning of like flooding or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Unless you go on those what's it called? Those like nature roads, like the ones in like the towns, like those ones, like the ones where it's like 60 mile an
but
hour.
that would be like rare.
winding.
That's what I'm saying. You won't come across.
I'm never
them.
going on a road like that. I don't care. I'll walk. I'm not gonna go on a road like that.
No, you have to. You have to. Like eventually, at some point, you'll have to go on a road like that.
Honestly, at least I can be grateful. Remember when we went to Lisbon and they had those like mountainous roads that were like really tall and like. At least we don't have to
Yeah.
deal with that. At least
Yeah.
that's not something we have to deal with. 'cause that'd be a pain.
Lisbon's roads, you could tell they'd be a pain to drive through.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't imagine it. But anyway, what about your uni, Sona? How's your uni been? What have you been? You think it's been useful to you so far?
Well, right
Second
now,
year?
it's exam term, and I selected my modules to only have one exam.
Ooh,
So I'm mostly free right now, basically, just doing nothing.
that's good.
I
That's
hate
good. I thought
exams.
exams ended ages ago.
No. I guess with me it's different, but
Okay.
I guess you got loads of coursework then.
yeah.
Essays and whatnot. You can get
I don't
ChatGPT
mind
on
that.
that.
I don't mind that. That's fine with me.
Okay.
All right, cool. So the topic for today is red pill content, and I think I'm going to start off with a new thing. And I'm hoping this comes up in your like you guys can hear it and the bot's recording it. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ibrahim's Spicy Hot Takes.
did you guys hear that?
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, that was terrible.
What do you mean it was terrible? This is how you know I'm putting in the effort for this podcast.
Mm.
Okay.
Ibrahim's spicy
I
hot
can't believe you
take.
sat there and recorded it and like even morphed your voice and everything. That's crazy. But okay.
You guys like the
Right.
screaming and the alarms and the dramatic opera music that I
Oh
put
right,
in there?
yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
So normally with these hot takes, it can be like a starter topic, so it doesn't necessarily have to be regarding the topic of discussion, but today I think it will be. My hot take for today, and you guys can either agree or disagree and we can debate it, is that toxic masculinity doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. So I'll explain my logic first of all, and then you guys can jump in. I don't think toxic masculinity is a thing. So when people talk about toxic masculinity, they often talk about people like Andrew Tate and like these alpha male bros, and they say this is what toxic masculinity is. But to me, that's not toxic masculinity. That's just being toxic. Because masculinity is about being, it's about having the money to support your family. It's not about owning 5 Lamborghinis. That's just being a rich narcissist. It's about, being strong enough to protect yourself and the ones you care about. It's not about just getting into any fight, because you're angry. It's about controlling your emotions. It's not about just being angry at everyone and just being this top G and stuff. So to me, what people do call as toxic masculinity, I think they're just dragging masculinity down. I think that's just being toxic. There is no such thing. So do you guys agree or disagree with that? Someone, you can go first.
I agree.
Ooh, okay. EK, you got
I
any?
agree.
Oh, you
I
know
don't
what?
think-
Yeah, you actually kind of like made like a good point with that, Oh, wow, that was actually. I think the way you
I don't
explained
think
it.
toxicity can be like made genderfied, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you're either
I think that's
toxic
just
or
the
you're
way
not.
to. Yeah.
And, like that's
Yeah,
just the way it is.
yeah. I
Do you
think
guys think that
because
there's no such thing as like toxic femininity either? Then
No, I just think there are toxic men and women.
fair.
yeah.
EK, were you gonna say something?
Wow, that was actually a nice point that you made. I think the only like probable way that people would be like, oh yeah, toxic masculinity or femininity exists. Yeah, the only reason they'll say that exists was because people there have their own like view and mindset of how like each gender should be in a way. So if they feel like you're just doing too much, that's when they kind of throw that oh, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's just mainly the case of that. Yeah, just everyone's just toxic in some ways, but you know,
definitely, I agree
I
with
also
that.
think the word toxic gets thrown around way too lightly.
Yeah.
Like
Every word gets thrown around nowadays.
every other thing is toxic now, and
Mm.
it's losing its effect. Like toxic doesn't mean what it used to mean 10 years ago now.
I think it's because everything's become hateful now. Like having the wrong opinion is hateful. So, everything becomes toxic because it's not about disagreeing. It's about, when you disagree, you're a bigot or you've got some internalized issues you need to sort out. That's sort of how it's like, it's just become very accusatory rather than, okay, you disagree, let's discuss. It's become, you disagree, therefore you're a bad person. I think that's why these words have been thrown around so much.
Well, that's
And it's
Yeah.
both sides that do it too. Like you have the leftists who are like they use the ists and the phobes and like the racists and the homophobic, and then you have the right who are throwing around the word woke everywhere. Everyone does
I'm
it,
getting
and
tired of seeing woke everywhere. I'm getting tired of seeing the word. It's
I
getting
think
Oh,
honestly
woke.
this is going to tie
Like,
into our discussion, but I think that's just a counter to everyone because I'm tired of the ists and the phobes being used everywhere. I think this is just a counter to that, like perpetuating the cycle, really.
woke. I see it too much now. It's hurting me. And also, I feel like the right can be kind of hypocritical sometimes. Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
like
Everyone
they'll call it the left liberal snowflakes, right? That's the famous you liberal
Yeah.
snowflake. And then they'll have
Mhm.
like a meltdown themselves when like one black actor is cast in a film.
Yeah.
They have like a meltdown. Oh, changing the source material. And then they think, oh, it's just like forced like diversity. Bro, who's the snowflake now? Who's crying now? Like, it's you,
Mhm.
right?
I mean, I did talk.
Uh,
I think I did talk about that before because, like, I think the left wing does that way more, and then the right responds to the left by stooping to their level. I think that's the big issue.
I actually think the left does it more, but the right does it as well, and no one really picks up on it. That the right does it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think people do.
even they themselves. No, I don't think so, because no one ever critiques the right for doing that. Right?
Oh no,
like.
I've definitely seen plenty of people. Maybe
Oh,
just
really?
it's less, but I think people. You've got those memes that are going around of people like being like boo, and they'd show like the LGBTQ flag. They'd be like boo, like trying to because they were trying to make fun of people for like being annoyed by the flag and stuff.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm just like it's my my social media feed is showing me that. Maybe it's just different, but
Yeah,
I've
we all
definitely
live
seen
in
it.
different social media bubbles, so like, yeah,
Our
we're
rule
definitely
based on the biases that we've seen.
Yeah.
Alright, well,
Yeah.
there's the last thing we're gonna do on the hot take segment is you have to rate my hot take on a spiciness meter. So 1 as like the mildest thing you've ever had, like salt and
Mhm.
pepper, and that's it. And then 10 is like Carolina Reaper, like next level. So where would you rank that a hot take, in your opinions?
3.
Mm.
3
Yeah, it's fairly low. It's not
for
really a
you
hot
or
take for me.
for you, because like
For-
I see toxic masculinity used all the time. I'd say that's pretty controversial then.
It's for me. For me, it's very, very low. Like,
Okay.
it's not really a hot take at all, really, because I don't see any. I don't see any logical argument you could put against it. Right?
You don't need logic when you're a leftist. I got him.
See, there you go. There you go. See. Okay.
EK, what about
Yeah.
you?
You know what? Yeah, I would have gone for 3, but I'm gonna put it to 5 now,
Ooh.
simply because okay, there is your side, yeah, but yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'd say 5 just simply because, like, yeah, you do have like a good point that you made, but then of course, like, you know, on the other side, say if there's like a counterpart, it's probably just a case of all you people that use the toxic, they be
Mm.
toxic in a way to try and not justify, how do I explain it, like to sort of you know, you go deep in the gender more, if that makes sense. Like,
I
for
don't
Yeah, no,
think.
I
example,
get that.
You know, do you ever think about this cultural conflict that's happening right now between the left and the right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always
Mhm.
happened. It's always going on. But right now, it's all about gender, and it's all about, like, I don't know, political correctness, all that waffle. Yeah. Do you ever
Yeah.
sit back and like look at the whole thing and like realize how little it matters compared to other things?
Yeah, definitely.
Like
100%. We live in such a
sometimes
comfortable society that
Yeah,
these are the
sometimes I
problems we
just
have.
look back and I'm like, you guys are arguing over whether this person could use the woman's toilet, and there are really rich people out there that are like avoiding taxes through like laws that your politicians like put through, and no one's arguing about that. Everyone's arguing about the toilet thing.
I honestly, if I can put my conspiracy hat on for a second, I think a lot of our issues that we have, like things like racism, especially where black people are proportionately, disproportionately, poorer. That's not a race issue. That's a class issue. But if we spoke about the class, then maybe something would get done. So if I put my tinfoil hat, I could probably say that this whole racism issue exists to keep us distracted, so we don't talk about how the real issue, which is class, and instead we fight each other based on something meaningless like race. To be honest with you, I think that's my current tinfoil hat
That's what
idea.
that sounds. That's not tinfoil hat idea. That's a Karl Marx idea.
Yeah, I mean, I
Karl
don't
Marx
like.
said that basically. What you're saying
Yeah,
is like a
basically.
Marxist thing. Like all
But
the
a
other
lot of people
things.
scoff at it. That's the main thing.
No, all that that's what he
Mm.
said. He said all the other movements like feminism, anti-racism, all those movements that exist, they're all looking at really small pictures.
Yeah.
And he said himself that the broader picture is class conflict. That there are some poor people out there and there are some rich people out there, and we're pitted against each other, and the rich people always end up winning, and the poor people never see it, right?
Yeah.
And you can break that down into feminism if you want, women versus men, but that's a smaller issue for Karl Marx. And
Yeah.
racism is just a subsect of class conflict for Marx anyway. So he thought that the biggest issue, the biggest one, was just class conflict, basically.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just the
Sounds like you
solution kind
agree.
of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of my sort of opinion on it as well. I think that a lot of and this kind of leads on to the next point. A lot of like the current like gender wars and things like that, which like lead to these alpha males. I think a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff is just it's a distraction. That's sort of how I've seen it.
Yeah,
But we
but
can move on to
distraction.
that if you guys
A distraction from who though? Like, are you saying there's like a deep
from the class issue.
state? Yeah, but who's doing the
So like,
distraction? Like,
well, I think it's social media. Like for example, if you think about like social media influencers, like these extreme feminists who make content and stuff, they profit off of making rage bait content. So even if it's not
yeah,
true,
for sure.
they'll make a ton of money from it. So that's one example, of someone who benefits from keeping the genders segregated. Even if that's not the right answer, even if that's not
Mhm.
why the problems exist, they benefit. And people
Yeah,
that's
sure.
one of the groups I would put in for that.
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
example.
Rage bait is really common, like everywhere now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because that's the best way to get you to interact in it, get you really angry.
that's what I was
Mhm.
literally thinking about. Like this is something that happened when the George Floyd protests were happening. Like a little bit after that, I remember I was on Sky News. I hate Sky News, by the way. It's shit. All of them are. But I was looking at Sky News and there was a headline that was like, "White woman shoots black man," and I clicked on it, like angry because I was like, I'm about to see some racism. And I read the article, and they just happened to be white and black. It had nothing to do with the story. There was like a mix up. I forget exactly what happened, but there was like a mix up, and race was not like it wasn't at all like important. But they put that in the headline, and I got gypped. I clicked on it. I gave them the ad revenue because I clicked on it, and I was just thinking, like, man, rage bait is so strong. Because if they had just titled it "Woman Accidentally Shoots Man," I probably wouldn't have clicked on it because that's not that special. But because they put their races in, even though it had no relevance to the story, I clicked on it, and I was thinking, like, rage bait is crazy. Like, it's such a money making technique, and that's so scary to me.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that's one of the reasons that like the wars continue on.
Yeah,
And I think I'll transition, unless you guys have anything else to say, I'll transition to the topic of it.
yeah. Let's transition.
Okay. Yeah.
So the topic I want to talk about was the man versus woman gender wars that's going on. And so this will lead into the red pill, but for now, let's start with this. So, there's a lot of extremist feminism, and we've talked about how, they profit off of this. But have you guys seen the man versus bear trend that's going on right now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Obviously, this is very like chronically online people, debating stupid issues. But, what did you guys think about that when you first saw it? What was your reaction?
Go on, EK. You first.
Honestly, yeah. This whole so okay, just to clarify, yeah, so that we're all on the same page. The man versus bear thing. What exact thing do you guys see in terms of that?
Well, you
It's
tell
like,
me first, innit? That's what I asked you.
Yeah, because the way I saw it like in probably in a different form from
yeah, there are different forms.
you guys, innit? But the way I saw it, like the whole man versus bear, like I think it was something to do with oh yeah, we'd rather be with man or this or with a bear, and then the people would be like, oh, I'd rather be with a bear and stuff. And it's kind of it's contemplating which like where it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Now at this point, yeah, because of people viewing men, it's like they use bear as a third option. If that makes sense.
So I can explain it if you guys want.
Well, what do you
Like from
what
the
do you
beginning.
think about it, EK? Like, tell me. I know you just explained the thing, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's a bit messed up. I don't think
What
that's
you think it's messed
like
up of women to say that, or that what?
the whole man versus bear thing. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Like just because I thought that's the case because obviously when you go online and you see different content of like women saying men this, men that, men this, men that. Okay, I thought yeah maybe because obviously women may have experience of men that didn't go well and they may express their feelings as they should. But the whole man versus bear thing, I just think it's just coming from people, and I said this before, but not generalizing all women, but just certain people. They're doing this in the case of like they're doing the whole man versus bear simply from the case of like as a way to further exaggerate the whole like men versus women thing in a gender war, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let me
Okay.
like kind of give a rundown basically, just to kind of give like a context. So originally this man versus bear thing, the whole thought experiment was like, it's basically supposed to show how women perceive men. So the idea was like, we see men as predators because we don't know any better. So like, you could be someone who's offensive and stuff like that. And I, to some extent, do agree with that because I think that in practice, you should always be more paranoid just to be safe. But then it was hijacked by some more like men hating people. And then it was turned into more of like well, all men are monsters and would rather take our chances with a bear because a bear won't rape me and keep me tortured for life, and a bear won't do this and a bear won't do that. And then it slowly began spiraling even more stupidly into like, well, look at the statistics. Bears attacks happen way less than man attacks, and obviously that's a stupid
No,
argument.
that's a dumb argument. Yeah.
Yeah, because like obviously, bears don't live with us, so naturally, obviously, it's going to be less. It's a
Yeah,
correlation,
yeah.
not causation thing. But
Mm.
so it began spiraling. But originally, the idea I think was pretty pure, and then it divulged into a man versus woman hate sort of spiral. But yeah,
Yeah,
naturally, I think that at that point it sort of became like, it become like Paddington versus Jeffrey Dahmer. Like people started seeing all man as like Jeffrey Dahmer. That was sort of the downward spiral it ended up going to. That every man is Ted Bundy or something, and that's sort of where we are today.
I
Yeah,
don't. Okay. I personally, yeah. I don't have a problem with it.
Oh, okay.
all right.
So I asked my mum this question, yeah. And my mum's not been infected by any social media stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she would answer honestly, right? And I asked her like, if you're stuck in the woods, what would you rather? Would you rather be with a bear or a human or a man, right?
Yeah.
And she said, it it depends on a lot of things, right?
Of course, everything
Oh,
does.
it
Yeah.
depends on the species of the bear, obviously. Like that matters, right?
Yeah.
And it depends if I have a weapon or not, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she said if I had a weapon on me, I'm gonna choose the man, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if I didn't have a weapon with me, I'd probably choose the bear. And I asked
Seriously?
her why.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would you choose the bear if you didn't have a weapon? And she was like, because if I have a weapon, I know I'm not gonna still be able to kill the bear if it attacks me, right? I'm gonna die if the bear attacks me, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I can at least attempt to outsmart a bear. With a man, though, a man is intelligent, and the man will know like what I'm trying to do, and the man's unpredictable, right? Bears are unpredictable too, of course. Don't get me wrong, but when a bear is
Yeah.
snarling and getting aggressive, it's very clear what the bear wants to do. With a man, the man can pretend to be nice to you, but like
Yes.
be plotting to like murder
So
you
yeah,
at the same
that
time.
just proves my point right there. That originally this is supposed to be a how do women think sort of thought experiment. So your mum has sort of seen it as like um, well, I don't know what a man will do with me. I don't know what a man is gonna, think. Whereas us
Yeah, yeah.
men, we think, naturally, obviously, the man might be nice. Well, the
Yeah,
most
well,
likely the man is
no, no,
gonna be
no.
nice. So
I'll
it's like
take
that
the
sort of,
man any day because I know I can
yeah.
probably fight off a man if it has to come up
Even
to
if
it.
it was like like even if we couldn't fight off, even if it was like Eddie Hall or something, like we would still pick the man because most likely the man is good. Whereas the bear, that's just a bear, right?
No, but
And
we
we
haven't
don't know what
Mhm.
seen.
species and whatnot.
Obviously, we don't know what it's to see it from a woman's perspective, right?
Yeah, that's what the experiment is, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I was like, I have no problems with that. I can fully understand why some women would rather choose a bear than a man. Obviously, most women have never even come across a bear, so they don't know what it's actually like, right?
I don't know,
Mhm.
man. I still think it's
Uh,
pretty silly,
I
mainly
mean,
because it's odd.
okay, yeah. Can I say something? Yeah.
yeah.
Like, okay, you know what? Okay, can I be honest? I think maybe before saying my point, I think MC should have said the context first,
Yeah,
before
yeah,
I said
yeah.
my point. Yeah, because yeah, I think here's the thing, right? I know I said what I said, but there's just some things I wanna clarify. Yeah, but here's the thing. Now, the only thing where it was a bit, where I was like, oh, it's a bit messed up, was just a generalization, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
In part, yeah, in that part of way, because obviously, like, okay, yeah, talking about now, yeah, we can see why women would choose bear over man because it goes both sides. Of course, women they have their own view, especially with the world nowadays. Men, there's those type of men who do messed up stuff. Cool. Now, I'm gonna say this. Yeah, forget the thing I said before. You said the context. Just forget about that. Yeah, I want to say my point now.
Ooh, we're
Yeah,
getting
I
update.
think. Yeah, I think with what Swan said about he doesn't have an issue. I think because obviously we're not women, of course, we don't know how it is. But from what we've heard about women's experiences of views and thoughts of men from personal experiences, of course, you'll see like it's understandable stuff. The only thing is that there's just some maybe not a lot of people. There's certain like I don't know how many of people do this. There's certain people that take it to another length to the point which they basically push this sort of generalism, making it as if like every single pinpoint men on this planet is like that. If that makes
That's my
sense.
issue.
But
yeah.
no one takes them seriously though. No
Well,
one
no,
ultimately
I
takes
know.
those people
Mine's
seriously.
your-
but like there's ones who tried to push it on. Maybe that like
I know,
as
but
you
there's
said,
always that ones in everything. There's always
Well, look.
crazy people in every like.
Think about it like
discussion.
this. There's some women who, just like you say, they're crazy
And
and
so,
they'll
like, with
generalize it to
the-
everyone.
With the
Yeah.
BLM one, for example, like there were legitimate people who believe like black people were being attacked and like systematically disadvantaged, and there are some people who just thought being white itself is racist. Like obviously that's dumb, right?
Look, I mean,
So,
but
like-
think about it like this. Think about it like this. Yeah, there are some women who just they're being stupid and they think every man is dangerous. But going back to your mum didn't even consider the possibility that that man would be nice. She immediately
No, she
jumped to,
did.
okay, well, I can
She did.
outsmart this and
No, she did, but what's the payoff? What's the risk and the payoff? Right?
the risk. Well,
You've got to
statistically,
consider
it's a very small risk actually for picking the man.
No, it's not, man. I fully see her perspective. I fully see it.
That's what
gotta
I don't get.
remember-
Because like most
I
likely the
see
man
it.
is going to be all right, or at
No,
most,
yeah,
like,
most
maybe
most likely. But if the chance that you're wrong, it's over. She's definitely not going to be able to fight off a man, right? That's why she asked if I get a weapon or not. If she doesn't get a weapon, and the man's intelligent, you got to remember, a bear's dumb. You can outsmart a bear. You can pretend to be dead with the bear, right? But the man, you can't. The man knows what
Yeah.
you're thinking. The man's intelligent. You're a human too. He can communicate with you. He knows how to catch you. And he's going to be stronger than you regardless. The bear and the man are both going to be stronger than you as a woman.
But
right?
that's the problem I have, though, isn't it? Because like you've
No,
automatically assumed that
Yeah,
the
but
man
that's
is
the
got
danger. That risk is too high. That risk of encountering a man who's dangerous is the risk that you get from that is crazy.
So
Right?
what are you insinuating with that? That most men are
What?
dangerous, like statistically?
No,
that
I'm not.
that's
I'm not. I'm not. I'm
if
not.
you
I'm not.
if you dropped
I'm
a
saying-
random man,
No,
like,
that's not what I'm
random
saying.
man.
Listen to me. I'm not saying that most men are dangerous. What I'm saying is that the risk of a man being dangerous is too high for a lot of women to take. Right? Even if most men are good, there is a significant portion of men that aren't. Right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that are
compared to
violent.
every bear, that is definitely.
Yeah.
No,
I
no,
think-
no, no. Not all bears are violent though. That's what I'm saying. If you
Well,
just
aside
leave,
from like pandas,
no. If you leave a grizzly bear alone, and it doesn't have its cubs with it, it will leave you alone. That's fair.
unless it's a
Right?
male bear that's starving, then it'll eat you.
Oh, then you're changing the circumstances. Then that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
well, that's
you're
the
making it
thing.
a
You're
very. You're
dropping-
making it a starve. All right, then let's
When
change
we
it
say
to
bear,
a
it's
serial
the same way
rapist.
that
Let's change
it's
it.
the same way that
Let's
your
change
mum said it depends on whether I have this and that.
Yeah,
You know, we
that's
don't
what
know
I'm
the
saying.
circumstance. I'm saying that
Yeah.
it's a random chance. The same way that you think it's randomly like, oh, it might be a man that's dangerous. I'm saying, what if it's a bear that's, hungry? Like, you can't say that. What if a man is this, but then not apply that to the bear as well? You got to apply that to both. So if you're
I
going to
think
put chances on the
comes down
man,
to-
you're going to put chances on the bear too. Yeah, the bear could be
think that
fine,
comes
but the bear
down
might
to-
not.
I think that comes down to the fact that women every day encounter men until they don't encounter bears.
So it's an
Yeah,
ignorance thing.
that is
They
true.
don't- they
Yeah.
don't- Most of us don't consider that as a we know women know men a lot better than they know bears. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So are you
So,
saying it's an
like-
ignorance thing then?
It very possibly could be an ignorance thing that women just haven't experienced being around enough bears to make a judgment call over whether a beer is safe or not. Do you get what I mean?
I think that proves my point then, to be honest.
But then you can't have like thoughts on anything that you haven't experienced. Do you know what I mean?
No, not necessarily. I think I haven't seen a bear in my entire life, but I've watched one Joe Rogan podcast and looked at a bear, and oh my days, bro, that shit's terrifying.
I'd be okay being around a black bear, right? And
I'd be okay being around a panda, and that's it.
I'd be
I
okay
know.
being around a black bear. If I'm around a grizzly bear, I'm gonna go right on the floor, cover my neck, and pretend to be dead, right? And hopefully it'll just leave me alone. If you're near a polar bear, it's done for you, brother. It's done.
You're cooked.
Hey,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, though. If you're gonna
Done.
put random chances on the man, you got to do that for the bear.
If-
What if the bear is a polar bear? You never know
Yeah,
because you're putting random
you're
chances.
finished, bro. Nah, you're
Mm.
finished. If it's a polar bear, the polar bear will actively hunt you. Nah, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, so that
Maybe
was my
climb a
main
tree.
point.
Do bears? Nah, polar bears might not climb a tree. You know, nah, that's crazy. It's over.
Yeah, so that was my main point. That I think it's unfair that we're saying there's a chance the man might be good, but
No, but
there's
obviously
also
the
a chance
point
the
of
man
the
might be bad.
the
But we're
point
not
of the
also
question-
doing that for the bear.
obviously the point of the question is not to talk about what kind of bear you're coming across, because
No,
everyone
I mean,
knows
I'm
the risk
saying
of
it
a
like
bear.
yeah.
I'm saying
the
like if
question
you're
is
gonna
framed
apply
to
that
see
logic
how
to
women-
one, why are you not gonna apply that logic to the other as well?
Because the question is not framed like that. We both know the question is framed to see how women see men.
The question is not framed for either. It just says man or bear.
Yeah,
It doesn't say a
you
dangerous
know,
man
that's
or
why
a
the
bear.
question's asked.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the question's asked, because everyone knows that we're pitting a possibly dangerous bear with a man who's possibly dangerous. Right?
Okay, yes. If we're doing possibly, then yeah, you have to put in that random chance. If it's
Yeah,
possibly,
yeah. That's why I understand
you have to
why
consider the
women
type then.
why women pick men. That's why I understand why women pick bears. Sorry.
I still think it's really silly. I think,
mean,
well,
it
even
probably
either
is.
way, that's the. Sorry?
It probably is pretty silly, but I understand the woman's perspective here.
Yeah, I mean,
I get
think
it too. Like I said, it's the
Yeah.
first part of the experiment is fine. I think the woman's like
Mm.
mentality is fine, even though it's flawed and wrong. I still think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, yeah, to be honest, yeah, I retract my first point. The new point I made, yeah, I think, it's not messed up in any ways. Yeah, obviously, it's a woman's point of view at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think from that, after a while, then men started coming up with their own idea, which was, would you rather share your feelings with a woman or a tree? Now, I don't.
Aw.
If you guys want to get into that, we can.
Damn,
My
that's
main point wasn't
crazy.
to do that. I wasn't really planning to go into that. My main point with that is, it seems like every time women attack men, men will go in and attack women, and then the cycle will continue that way into a gender
Yeah.
spiral.
Yeah,
That's the
I
main
just
point I
think,
want to get to.
you know what the thing is,
Uh,
yeah. Hmm.
I'd share my feelings with the tree.
Yeah, I was gonna say just for fun. What would your answers be? For me, it depends on the
Tree.
woman, to be honest.
I think, yeah, it
Yeah,
depends
it
on the woman.
Random woman.
Random woman, definitely
Yeah.
not. 100% not. I mean, it's feelings, right? It's very different to
How I actually
Yeah,
feel,
because
getting a little bit
physical
emotional,
attacks.
all that. The tree's alright.
No, I think
With
I think I
emotions,
would
you're
share
gonna
my
have to
thoughts
know
with a
someone
woman.
first.
I would,
To be honest, you can't just randomly stranger can't do that.
Yeah. No, but I
yeah.
feel like a guy would be more understanding.
Definitely.
A random guy would be like, "Oh man, that's deep in it," and like we'll try and like they'll understand, right? But with a woman, I feel like if we're assuming that she's one of those women, like like modern women in like cities that
Rainbow
go
hair.
out, party life, all that, she might like inside like laugh at you.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So yeah.
I think.
All right. Well, anyway. Oh yeah, UK. Why don't you give your answer and then we'll go to the actual point.
Yeah, I said, yeah. You know what? I think before you said random woman, I would say woman because obviously, just because obviously sometimes, because obviously when they share their feelings and expressions, of course, it's sort of like if they're able to express it, you'd, of course, just have that automatic assumption that if they were to express you with the idea that we'd of course be understanding, then if we express our feelings to them, because if we're like in the same position, of course, yeah, they would be understanding as well to our one as well. But yeah, like with the like random one, yeah, obviously it just depends on the person in it, because obviously some not saying, because obviously women, they'd be understanding, but it's only, yeah, sometimes like if you're encountering like a random person, nightlife, out in a party, drunk, not understanding, you express a feeling to them, and it gets dismissed, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Anything
Yeah.
like that, to be honest. But
Yeah.
the point, I guess the point for this, all of it, is like gender wars to me, it doesn't help anyone, because like I remember one time I saw like there were men complaining about like they go on their For You page, and I can relate to this. I go on my For You page and everything is just men do this, men do that, men are the problem, men are this, men are that. And then I
You need
looked
to
at the
get out of
comment
that,
section
man.
of that.
You
Sorry?
need to get out of that.
Bro, I don't know why my For You page is so feminist. I didn't do that. I
Nah,
don't watch
you need to
the
get out of that bubble. You need to get out of it because it's trying to
Yeah, yeah.
rage bait you. Don't you get it?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's the internet is very different to real life, I know. But the point I'm trying to get to is like I clicked on the comments and the comments were like, well, imagine how women feel. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, now the women are getting a lick in here. So now it's become like an oppression Olympics. Instead of lifting each other up, all we do is we
Mm.
complain to each other and argue like who is having it worse. And I don't think we'll ever fix any issues that way.
Mm.
Like, yeah,
I,
men should work together to help women feel safe. Women should work
mm-hmm.
together to prevent male suicides and lift men up. But because we argue amongst ourselves so much, we're never going to fix it.
Yeah, I
So I want
think.
to ask you like, if you guys have any solutions and what you think about that in general.
Mm, I think, you know what? Yeah, because yeah, to be honest, this whole men versus women thing has gone too far. And there's actually another point that I wanted to like kind of put out as well. But yeah, I want to answer your question first, like in terms of solution. I think, yeah, it's just a case of where, like, I don't know, because sometimes when something happens and it kind of wakes some people up, sort of thing.
Hmm.
As say for example, something like was to happen, yeah, like, okay, I know this is the story that we might discuss further into the podcast, but you know about that. Okay, you know about that girl, yeah, that 15-year-old girl that got killed by that guy,
Yeah,
right? Now, of course, yeah,
No.
when the
the one
15
by the police officer, was it?
no, the 50-year-old girl
Yeah,
in
that's what I'm saying.
Croydon.
There are loads of 15-year-old girls that get killed.
Okay,
Like,
right. So last year in October, I think October or November, yeah, 15-year-old girl she got stabbed and she got killed in Croydon, and the
right,
reason
okay.
and by a guy, and the reason behind it was because um she or her friend, they rejected flowers from him, and he didn't take the rejection, so he basically killed her.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah,
wasn't her. It was her friend that he
yeah,
stabbed.
her friend. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
to the point I want to make, obviously, like, because that happened with the whole men versus women thing. I know, yeah, in general, yeah, we can say that is wrong. It's 100% wrong, isn't it? But I know some people as well. They might have, like, of course, with the whole men versus women, it may have triggered it even more and pushed it even
Mm.
more. The whole, this is why men are this is why men are dangerous. Especially because of the age of the guy that did it as well. Of course, people are saying, yeah, it's gonna trigger this whole gender war even more, if that makes sense. But of course, at the same time, you would assume that, yeah, because of this situation, yeah, you would think that, yeah, all the guys will start realizing, yeah, you know what, like, come on, look at what's going on here with this whole gender war thing. Like, we need to
Yeah.
do something about it. Like, as in,
Um,
like, like, even like from pushing out at least some youth thing after school or some content thing on social media, starting from boys at a young age, just talking, like, and pushing more content of, like, you know, how to act and stuff, and how to prevent this, that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I think that's the problem though, because like most men don't need those lessons. They don't need that kind of education. And even the men who do commit rapes, they don't do it because they don't know better. They do it because they're evil. And you can never educate evil out of society. It's always going to exist. So that kind of solution just doesn't work. That's the problem. And instead, it just leads to more men hate, which is not going to fix the issue. Because why would I help you if you're just going to hate on me? You know, that's sort of the logic I see.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, honestly, I think just a case of this whole men versus war. Even as well, I just think I don't know. So, any solutions?
No.
I again think this is
Yeah.
a class issue once again, and also I think we need to be. I think in the UK especially, crime is just way too. Most people get away with crime in the UK. It's like almost legalized. We need to really stamp
There
it
are
out.
there are no solutions to this. It
The
makes
best
too
we
much
can do
money
is
for
just.
too many people. So it's
But the best we can
propagating
do
too
is
much.
like lay the heavy hand on these people. That's it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
who's we? You're not gonna gather enough people to do that. What I'm saying is, there's no exact solution to this. Maybe changing mindsets is probably the most important thing we can do. And I think reminding ourselves that men and women are actually a lot more similar than different.
Yeah.
Like we're not different species. Some people act like we're different species that are being forced to live together. Like
Yeah.
we're not. We're literally both human. Like 99.999% exactly the same. Right. Like the only difference between us is like some hormones and some sexual organs, and that's about it. Like it's really
Different sides of the
superficial
same
stuff.
coin.
Yeah. Like it's literally just the same stuff, and so like maybe reminding ourselves of like that we're actually basically the same. There are maybe slightly few different tendencies we have, but like we both want the same things. Most women and most men want to be loved, want to be able to love, like want to have friends, want to have a good life, want to eat as much as they want, drink as much as they want. Like that's something we all share. No one wants to be attacked. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like that's just something we need to like understand about each other, that we're human at the end of the day.
I think yeah. When you said who's we, when I say we, I mean like the government and like enforcing
That
policies.
won't
Because
happen.
like,
That won't happen. Our government's lame.
of course,
Every,
they're
even
not
right
gonna do
now,
anything. But
even right
that's the
now, who
solution.
are you really gonna vote? Like, okay, fine, I'm not voting Rishi Sunak, but you really gonna vote Keir Starmer? That guy's so lame as well,
Bro, I
right?
literally said like Labour is just conservative with a red coat of paint. That's it. They're the
But
same
like,
thing.
Keir Starmer's got no like principles. Like, he's got. Can you look at Keir Starmer and say there's one thing he would definitely stand by?
Nah, he'll U-turn it. Don't worry.
He would
Everything he said,
U-turn. He would
he'll
U-turn
U-turn
over
everything.
one Twitter post, like getting
It's
angry at
crazy.
him. He would U-turn like government policy. This guy's so spineless. He's got no
That's why
strong.
100%.
He's the guy who let Jimmy Savile like touch all them kids. He was like in charge of like what's it called?
What?
Like yeah, he was in charge of like security back then. He's the one who let that happen. Like it was
So what?
happening under him, like blind eye. So like no one like he's so lame. I don't understand why the Labour government decided to like elect him. Like they'd have a better chance with like Jeremy Corbyn being leader. Honestly,
That's why
like
I think that if the Conservatives hadn't like messed up as bad as they had, I don't think he stood any chance
the
at all. Because like,
Conservatives didn't mess up. It was Liz Truss who messed up. They
yeah, well,
voted
she's
Liz Truss
conservative.
in, and that was their fault. Rishi
What I
Sunak
mean is like
spent the last
under the
like
Conservatives,
however long he's been trying to clean up Liz Truss's mess.
or even before like Brexit as well, Boris Johnson's
Like
whole Partygate scandals and everything that's kind of
it's
happened.
ridiculous. Yeah. Like
It all affects the
ridiculous.
Conservatives' like reputation. But what I mean is
I don't
like,
think they're getting voted in for a long time. Conservatives.
I'm honestly
People
a little
don't even
bit
remember
worried.
this.
Like they might get voted in again because when you have someone who's so spineless as Keir Starmer and he doesn't take a side, what you'll end up doing is you'll upset both sides. You won't have a like because
Yeah.
normally what you do is you'll have like a side that you support and you'll rally behind them. Like the Conservatives are really going in on the older generation, and they're the ones that they're trying to support. But with this Keir Starmer, no one wants to support him because he's not
No one
doing
likes him.
anything. No one
He
likes
doesn't
him.
pick a
So
side. He doesn't
yeah,
pick a
I'm a lot
side.
more worried about Conservatives being re-elected, and I think people aren't taking it as seriously as they should.
Nah, they won't.
Because
The
we
polls
still
are
have to
just
think about
too.
the older generation and stuff. Like they're still voting.
Nah. Yeah. But you just gotta remember, like they might vote reform.
That's true. Reform is
Yeah,
probably going to
so,
shut
like,
conservatives down.
Imagine Nigel Farage like in charge, Prime Minister. Nah, that'd be
I
crazy.
no, God forbid. Mm-mm.
I actually don't
We'll
think
get
he's that
Brexit done
bad. I think
25,000 years after it.
I actually don't think Nigel Farage is that bad. I just think he holds very traditional views. That's about it, really. Like, I don't think he's
His
racist.
Brexit thing was too much, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, like he should have gone away after Brexit happened because that's been a failure, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
It missed a lot of things.
Anyway,
up.
let's move on to like the main stuff then. Red pill stuff.
All right. So
Right.
anyway, what ended up happening with feminism, and I'll stand by this. I think it's a curse on society, modern feminism. I mean, but what ended up happening is with feminism, it's sort of like people started dogging on masculinity a lot, and they started shutting it
Wait,
down.
Ibs,
And
this is a red pill. We're not talking about
yeah,
red
wait,
pill stuff.
hold on. Let me transition. Let the transitions happen, bro.
It's been in
So
like an
masculine-
hour, and like, come on, man. Like, let's talk about the red
We've
pill
actually
stuff.
spent around 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But anyway,
Yeah, so can we
masculinity
talk
was
about...
being dogged on, and then guess who came around the corner to save the day? Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he told that
not
masculinity
him.
is so important, and he
Not
blew
him.
up. So
Yeah,
the
he
next
did.
topic, if
Mm-mm.
you would let me transition, we could have done this, Sona. You ruined my
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Okay, whatever, man.
Undermining the host. Anyway, the Andrew Tate came in, and he's the father of modern red pill content. So
Right.
I think we'll start obviously with the main thing. What do you guys think about him? I don't think we'll take very long on this because I think we all agree, kind of. So, Sona, why don't you start? Because you ruined my whole thing.
I don't have any... I never really watched him.
Oh,
So
really?
I can't have any strong opinions one way or the other. I hear a lot of people saying he's bigoted, but I have a feeling those people haven't watched him either.
I think he is a little bit.
I don't know enough about him. I think maybe like there's a lot of clips of him out there. I think maybe his humor might be a bit too like abrasive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So like when he's joking, it's kind of hard to tell when he is joking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when he's
Are you
not.
okay?
So like that's the problem.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you can.
Okay. Alright, Mia.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, cool. So I want to put this out clear. Yeah, I think around the first time this guy blew up and his clips started blowing up and he became popular was, I'll put it this way, right? It was all the clips that where it made him look good, right? Where he'll say something, people agree with him, be like, "Oh, speaking facts," all of that, and then later on, you start hearing things, seeing things, and it kind of like, oh my goodness. So I will be real, yeah. I don't like him. I don't like him.
Ooh.
I
Why?
don't like him.
Why?
Like,
Did that for the thumbnail.
I just don't like. I don't know, talking about him, yeah. I think. So this guy, he claims like he's all about, making men better and stuff. But I think it's just those things that he says about women, yeah, it's just like really that kind of thing. And I know,
What's
yeah,
he said about women?
I know. I think it was what's it called? I feel like here's the thing. I think it's just the fact that his clips, the target audience is like for men or even younger boys, right? And it's like, for example, if you was to say something like, "Oh, women shouldn't," I wouldn't want to go on a plane with a woman as a pilot or something because I don't feel safe. Then of course it will give this kind of view to his audience or to his Tate fans that, oh yeah, then in that case women should be doing this, that, this, that, this, that. Even I think there was a certain video of him in the bed here when he was like, oh yeah, I think he had some machete on his side and he was like, oh yeah, I would do this, that to the woman. I don't know if
Choke
you've not
slam,
seen that.
something like that.
Yeah, all of that.
See,
That
and
was
those
out of
things.
context.
I think
That
he's
was out of
joking. I think he's
Yeah, no,
joking.
that was out of context. I'm pretty sure that was out of context.
And to be honest, yeah, like even with those like videos out of context, I think it's just understandable because we live in a society now where like people they have different perspectives, like different view. Like the way they view things is like, oh, okay, this is it. So obviously sometimes you may think, oh yeah, it's a joke, yeah. But then deep understand like obviously nowadays when people they see things, it's not like one of the kids would be like, oh, okay, it's just another video. Like they would look at the video and be like, okay, well, what is going on here, sort of thing, innit? And especially with the fact that he was popular as well, a lot of people they probably would have taken his videos seriously, especially because in the beginning, his videos, of course, it was the one that made him look good, and made him seem like, oh yeah, this guy, he's gonna save us from all the women that was men. This guy's gonna save us, all of that, and we want to be like Andrew Tate. He's a top G, all of that. He's all powerful. The Matrix is all against him, and all of that. And I just feel like, yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's honestly just ridiculous. And I don't okay, I don't remember, but I remember there was obviously a time I think on my TikTok for you page, and I think in all of our TikTok for you pages where we saw videos of him and saying like certain stuff. And the ones that I saw was stuff that he kind of said about where it was kind of against women, and I was like, no, I don't stand by that. I don't even remember, but I remember it was like one time I saw it and I was like, yeah, no, no, sort of thing,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
All right.
So yeah, I don't like him at all.
I think out of the three of us, I have definitely consumed the most Andrew Tate content by far. And
It's a
I'll
bit sad, but
outwardly
okay.
admit, wait, say?
Nothing.
So I'll outwardly admit right now on the podcast, you heard it here first. I wouldn't be half the man I am now if it wasn't for his content. I admit it right now. I would
You'd be a
never have gone to
quarter.
the gym. I would never have gone to the gym and started weightlifting. I would never have started, thinking about myself because I always used to put others before myself, like every time. But after I started feeling a bit more. I've always thought of myself as, less masculine. But after I watched his videos, I was like, actually, no, let me embrace this and let me, apply this more. And despite all of this, I definitely think he went a bit too far. The problem is when it comes to his misogyny, when people say he's misogynistic, they do a shit job proving why. Because they'll be like, oh, he's misogynistic, and you'll ask them like, okay, how? And they'll have no answer. So, you can never really, that means nothing to most people. But I think he's always been more, he started off as a bit of a traditionalist, like he'd be like, women should cook and clean and, this kind of stuff. But then the men should work really hard. And he used to say, if I have a daughter, I'll pamper like crazy. But if I have a son, yeah, he's not getting anything. He has to work for everything himself. So he was always a bit of a traditionalist. But I think nowadays he openly admits that he's said things that are misogynist and problematic. Sort of like what EK mentioned about, he would never have a woman pilot and stuff like that. They're very, it went from traditional ideas that were okay 10 years ago to ideas that I think he sort of went off the cliff edge a little bit more. But I think the
Okay.
main issue with him is his productivity sort of thing. But actually, before I talk about that, let me just talk about the clips thing, EK, you talked about. The thing is, he doesn't do TikToks. He has never recorded a TikTok in his life.
Yeah, I know.
People record TikToks for him. So the problem is, like, everything he does is in like an hour-long podcast sort of thing, or like a video. So if you took like 60 seconds out of this podcast, you'd lose a ton of context. A ton of context. It's the same thing with him. And also remember, rage sells. Rage is where the clicks are at. So obviously they're going to take the most provocative things and they're going to edit out the context so it looks more provocative because that's where the engagement is. So a lot of the misogyny sort of accusations come from that, even though he is misogynistic, like overall nowadays. But the productivity thing is the main thing, which is sort of like the whole, if you're a man and you're not working, you should be ashamed of yourself, and you should push yourself and work 24/7. You should do this, you should do that. On Christmas, have you earned that holiday? You should do, because I used to be subscribed to his like email list and everything, and like he used to be constantly pushing this sort of like, you need to be working, you need to be pushing yourself, you need to be like doing that. That's where I think he went too far because it led to a lot of issues with me as well. As I started discovering, I started getting an inferiority complex because of it, and all sorts of issues. That's a different topic altogether. But I definitely think that at first, his sort of message was very good for men because it showed us the beauty of masculinity and how powerful it really is. But then he went way too far and he started talking about toxic stuff, owning too many Bugattis, getting into fights with people. He said that men and women can't be friends, for example. Things like that, where he's gone a bit too far off the deep end. But at first, he was fine. And then he went too far. That's sort of my opinion with him. But I do
No,
respect him a lot still, despite all that.
I'll put it this way. Look at this analogy, right? Now, obviously, yeah, you have your opinion, and my opinion, and we all have our different opinions, yeah. And I think, like, okay, we look at this analogy, just a quick one, yeah. We're not gonna go deep in it. Like, look at P
Mm.
Diddy, for example, right? Now, of course, before the whole thing about him, being, you know, being what he is, yeah. Now, of course, yeah, like the way you viewed him in public, you used to like, yeah, he's cool, he's cool, he's cool. Then, of course, the whole Cassie thing started coming out, and people started feeling like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? Then all this other stuff start coming out, and it's just one of those things. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, so this whole time we've seen one person, but he was another person this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, even as well, there was, okay, I don't know if you guys saw this yet. There was, I think, that a tweet that he made, yeah, that was so controversial. I was like, no, as in, like, this is just the worst thing that you could ever write. He said, I don't know if you like read this yet. I want to be careful, yeah, with the word I said. He wrote, woman has to bear some responsibility for getting R.
Oh,
Or
okay.
raped.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
that is.
I have some
out
interesting views on that.
Are you
for
gonna
me.
talk about like showing money in a dark neighborhood? That analogy?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
I'll let
exactly
you
right.
do it. I'll let you do
Because
it.
so whenever it
We'll
comes
let
to
UK
women,
finish. Let UK finish.
yeah,
first.
sorry, go ahead, UK. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I know your opinions might be, but I'm glad that we have a different opinions in it because we just talk to. But yeah,
So you
me
don't think
personally.
it's yeah. Go on.
Yeah, me personally, that was terrible. That was disgusting. I don't care what it is. That is just wrong. That
Okay.
was horrible. Yeah, go on.
UK with the strong opinions coming up.
I think it depends a little bit. So whenever these kind of questions come up regarding like women's rights, yeah, like abortion or like women's issues, like, right, I always ask my mum because my mum's a woman, isn't it? So she'll know,
Mm.
she'll have a better perspective on it than I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Although she's against abortion too, like you, Ibrahim.
Come on.
I
Bonus,
don't.
mum.
Well, actually, no. She's a bit weird. She says she would like abortion. She thinks it should be protected legally, but she would never have one herself. She could never
I'm
imagine
kind of
doing
like
it.
that a little bit. Like
Right.
I acknowledge how good it is, but at the same time, it is evil, and you have to admit it's evil, 100%. That's my kind of.
Anyway, so I asked her about this rape thing, and she said, it depends for what reason. Like, if you were just a woman chilling at home and someone broke into your house and raped you, of course that's not your fault. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously.
It's the guy
Yeah.
who broke in and raped you. Like, he's a criminal. He's a bad person. That's why he did it. But she said, at the same time, if you go out to like a bar and you're by yourself or you're with your girlfriends and you're wearing a really like slutty dress and you're
Yeah.
like going out there to get hammered drunk, right? And you know there are going to be men everywhere because it's a club, right? It's where people go to like hook up and stuff. And you go out there with the intention of getting really, really drunk and like losing your inhibitions and being taken advantage of, and then you get raped, you've kind of like set yourself up there. Do you get
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well,
EK,
okay.
let me ask you a question. Say you're in a bad neighborhood, yeah, but you've got all of your rings out. You don't hide them. You just keep them all out, and you're counting your money as you walk, and you've got headphones in, so you can't hear anyone. And you're walking through this bad neighborhood, and you're doing all of this consciously, and you get mugged. Is that your fault, kind of? At all? Do you like bear any responsibility?
For me getting mugged.
If you got mugged and you were doing all of those things, like you walked in a bad neighborhood, you were counting your money in public, showing it off, had headphones in so no one could hear, like you couldn't hear anyone, things like that.
Okay. In that sense, yeah, I know, yeah, like the first thing to point out, the person who mugged me was obviously wrong. Because he mugged
Yeah.
me. Why are you trying to mug me for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, in the state of that, if someone was to rob me and I had my thing out in the open for me to rob, of course, yeah, people will say,
You
what's
should
it
have done
called?
that. You're an idiot.
Yeah, like why are you putting your thing out there? You know that people are gonna be mad stuff. But in that original context of getting assaulted in that way, yeah, I think that should be like, I don't care if you're there. I don't care. Like, us men should know how to control ourselves,
Okay,
innit?
but
So it can.
that's a nice sentiment, but it's not really how the
That's
world
that's
is.
not how the world really works. So
I know what you're saying, EK, is right, and men shouldn't rape. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
of course.
I'm not. I
But
just don't think.
there will
Yeah,
be
yeah,
men
go
who
on.
rape, regardless.
yeah, we
There will
don't
be
live
men
in
who
that
rape.
world.
Yeah,
There will
but I
be men
don't.
who always rape, right?
Yeah, okay.
Just like it's like I don't want poverty to exist.
Yeah, but then it would
It's
always
gonna
exist,
It
exist.
will
innit?
still exist though. It will almost always exist, won't it? Right?
So EK, yeah,
Yeah.
So
what's the conscious
find
difference
solutions to
between
avoid it. Right? That's the
yeah
thing.
what's the difference between walking in a dark neighborhood with all your money out versus being in a shady area wearing something really slutty, for example, and losing your inhibitions and stuff like that? In both
Getting
cases,
drunk.
you've done something you
Yeah.
shouldn't have done. In both cases, what happens to you is not your fault. But do you you said you'd bear responsibility in one, but not in the other. Why is that? What's the difference?
I just okay, because obviously, alright, I'll just put it this way. This is just like my point in it. I think, yeah, because obviously, like when you're what's it called? With like your position and stuff, it's one with you getting mugged. It's sort of like, that kind of thing of what do you call it? We be taught to take care of our stuff. So obviously, oh my gosh, sorry guys, I keep doing my words in it.
No, it's
But
calm.
It's because you know we're right, that's why.
no,
If you need time to think about it, UK, you can. We can just like while you think, if you need more time.
I just feel like with the woman one, yeah, I think because obviously I don't think it should be a case of where he should get anything of, oh yeah, but you need to take accountability or bear some responsibility
No.
because
It's
it's that.
take responsibility for your own safety. Take steps to
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah.
Take those steps. If you
I
don't
mean,
take those steps, and you do become unsafe, right? Yes, obviously the person who made it unsafe is wrong, but that's always a given. That's
okay,
a
but
given
then
anyway.
but then here's the things, right? Because obviously, like in the analogy you said about if she was wearing this, that. But then think about it, yeah. What if it was the case where she did do those things to stay safe, and then,
Yeah, then it's
but
not her
then,
fault.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
It's not
that's
her
fine.
fault.
That's not the
It's not
example.
her fault then.
but
Yeah.
I
In the
just think,
same way that if you got mugged but you weren't using any sort of money and you had everything covered up and your head was on a swivel, you were keeping yourself safe, but you still got mugged, that wouldn't be your fault. But if you were showing off all your money and you had your headphones in and you were walking through a really bad neighborhood at night, then you would bear responsibility, as you said. In the same way, if a woman's like taking those steps and still getting raped, of course it's not her fault. But if she's not taking those steps, if she is doing all those things I talked about before, then I don't understand why you don't draw the line.
yeah, I
I'm not
just,
drawing any line, by the way. There is no line
No,
drawn.
no, no. For EK,
What
for
I'm just
EK.
saying.
uh,
No, what I'm saying is everyone should take steps for their safety. Right?
Mm.
You can't. I know the world should be a safe place. It should be like that. Do you know what I mean, EK? Right?
yeah, of course.
We shouldn't have rapists. We shouldn't have muggers. We shouldn't, but we do. Right? So how do we get around that problem? We take steps for our own safety. Right?
Safety.
So I make sure that when I'm walking in a shady neighborhood, I walk upright. I walk confidently. I make sure that I don't look like a victim. Right?
Yeah.
When I'm walking around. Right? Because then I'm an easy target. That's me taking steps for my safety. And I'm a big guy, right? And I know I still need to take steps for my safety, right?
Yeah. Because
When
weapons
you're
are
leaving your
still gonna.
door, when you're leaving your house, you don't leave your door unlocked. Why? Because there's a possibility someone's you're asking to be robbed, right?
Exactly.
You don't do that. You always lock your door, right? Because no matter what, even if there shouldn't be burglars in the world, there are burglars in the world. So you need to take steps for your safety. Now let's put it on the woman, right? Who has a possibility of getting raped, when you're out there, you need to take steps for your safety. You need to maybe cover up so you don't entice dangerous men out there, right? Because obviously there are some dangerous men out there. If a woman walked by me or you in a really slutty dress, I might like give a second look, but that's it, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go and target her because I'm not a bad person, right? But the fact is, she might come across a man who will target her because of that, right? So, what's the best case scenario? What do you need to do to stop that from happening? Maybe not wear the slutty dress.
But I feel like I just don't think regarding
I
what
think-
you dress should, you know.
I know it
EK, I
shouldn't,
think-
but it does.
I think, EK, what you're doing is you're trying to sort of, you're seeing what the crime is. You're saying it's rape, and therefore rape is horrible, and so the blame shouldn't be versus mugging. And I think you're trying to kind of compare the crimes themselves rather than seeing it as sort of the logic for what me and Sona are seeing it as. That's why the example that I gave works. It's because
All right,
the
let me give you
crimes
two
are of different
scenarios.
severity.
Let me give you two
I
scenarios.
mean, I
Let me
see
give you
what
two scenarios.
I see your examples here and your scenarios. Nah, that's just stupid.
Let me give you two scenarios, yeah? And you tell me which woman do you think was more reckless. Okay, you tell me. Right?
Alright.
Scenario one, we have a woman who's gone out with her friends. It's at night. She's gone to a club, right? She's gotten really hammered. She's wearing a really slutty dress, like in the previous examples. She's just, drinking as much as she wants, right? And she's around men because it's a club, right?
Mm,
She gets raped. Okay?
mm.
Okay? Now scenario two. There's a woman chilling at home, she's making dinner, yeah? She's minding her business. Someone breaks into her home and rapes her. Okay. In these two scenarios, which woman do you think was more reckless?
I mean, okay. I think if you were to say it in that way,
It's scenario
although
one, isn't it? Isn't it?
It's pretty obvious, CK, yeah.
You be
I
honest.
think the issue,
okay,
you don't mind the
now
recklessness, you just don't mind the fault despite the recklessness. That's your kind of issue, I think.
There's no
like
fault. It's not a
I think
woman's
okay,
fault that she gets
in
raped.
scenario
What I'm
one,
saying is,
I know the
she
obvious
hasn't
will be
taken. Yeah, go on.
yeah, I know if people were to say it, they will say scenario one, of course, because it's like, and I know a lot of people when it comes to like things like this, they'll be like, yeah, women should have covered up more, or you should have be exposing yourself because you basically asked for it, and that's where I'm like, no, but like
Depends which
No one's
area you're
asking
in,
for it.
yeah.
No
one's
one's asking for it.
It's
She's not
just
asking. I don't like that term, asking for it.
a
No woman's
Oh
scenario.
no,
asking.
I said like no. Do you know what I mean? I said like
No, I
obviously.
know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I don't like the term. That's what I'm saying. Well, but she's been reckless, right? So it's not like the woman doesn't know that there are rapists out there. She knows that. She knows that there are dangerous men out there that are predators that will target her. Despite that, she's still done something really reckless, right? No one drives to a pub to get drunk and then go back in their car. Those are idiots, aren't they? They're dumb. So if they get into a car accident, it's the driver's fault because he went to go get drunk, didn't he? Right. Now, that's not the exact same example because the woman's not at fault for getting raped. But she went there with the intention of doing something reckless, and then there are consequences to that reckless action. She should have taken steps to be safer. That's all I'm saying. I think I think you get what we're saying, and you just don't want to agree. Let's move on to something else, maybe.
I guess
think
what
you get
I'll
what we're
ask
saying.
you then is like, yeah, the thought experiment is fine, but what's the end product of all of that? What do we get from that information? That
What I'm saying
the
is,
woman kind of
women need to take steps to be safe. They
of
need to
course,
be
I
safe.
don't think anyone would disagree with that. I don't think even EK would disagree with that.
I mean, yeah.
The whole
I
idea,
do
that we
understand
need
that.
to,
Yeah, obviously, like of course,
we need
like,
to
as a woman,
educate.
women are smart in terms of like, if they know something's not right, they will do some things. So yeah, I do agree with like the whole steps thing. Yeah, don't
But
worry, I hear you
basically,
guys. I hear you guys.
the whole idea of like men need to be educated about rape and all that. A good person, regardless of whether they're man or woman, knows forcing yourself upon someone else sexually is wrong.
Of course.
You know that. We just have that inherent understanding. It's built into us evolutionarily. It's an antisocial behavior, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
When it comes to rapists, though, rapists' psychology works completely differently. Sometimes they lack the empathy for the woman, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's about a power play because they're a bit psychopathic like that. Sometimes there are some even evolutionary examples for why rapists might exist, right?
There are
But
some
Mm.
rapists who apologize while they're doing it because they feel bad, but they
exactly,
can't control their urges
but they
too.
can't control their urge. It doesn't. The fact is that these people exist, right? And I don't think giving them 1 hour classes a week about how raping women is bad will stop them from raping a woman.
Yeah.
You get
But
what
the
I mean?
only solution is for women to be
Mm.
safer.
Yeah, that's the solution around the problem. The problem exists. How do we solve it? Women, make sure you keep yourself safe, right? I know it sounds wrong, but maybe when you're going out at night, maybe go with a man that you trust. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Because the problem is
Don't go
it
out there alone.
applies
Because I
for
get anxious when my mum's walking home from train station at night.
yeah.
I get anxious, and she tells me she gets anxious too because she's quite a small woman. So being a woman, imagine walking home at night. You constantly have to look around yourself. Anything shady is like crazy for a small
Yeah.
woman, right? That's what I'm saying. You need to always make sure being more anxious is unfortunately the safer way. It is. This is why
Yeah.
I understand why some women said they'd rather, a bear over a man. This is why.
That's
Like, you
that's
get it?
it's a
Like,
flawed thought process, but it's the correct one you should take. It's sort of
yeah,
like,
Yeah.
when I'm walking down the street and I see some random strangers, I automatically assume they're dangerous. I'm not
yeah.
basing that off anything. I'm most likely incorrect. That's probably not
You
true.
see, you're
But
walking down
it's
the
in
street, you see a
practice that's a
group of
good
like
idea.
hoodies. Nah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, of course.
You're
Yeah,
gonna cross the
I
street.
do agree. Yeah, that safety should be
So
like,
yeah,
of course. Yeah.
going back to that man versus bear example, that is completely illogical to pick the bear over the man. But in a situation where, well, to be honest with you, the man versus bear example is stupid anyway. But in practice, in terms of like on the streets, every woman should see every man as a potential threat because that's the safe way to do it.
Unless
That's
you know
where,
them and you've like
unless you know,
spoken to
yeah,
them
unless
and
you
like
know them.
yeah,
But
like,
every single man, that's where like the all men example is fine. In practice, it's fine. But when women, and that's where the all men and the whole man versus bear sort of becomes a problem for me, is where instead of putting it in practice, they start putting it in theory and they start applying it to everyone as a
yeah,
collective.
that's the
Instead of seeing, yeah, my logic is flawed, but I have to do this, they see it as I have to do this because the logic is correct, but it's not. That's
all
sort of
right.
where the line is drawn, I guess.
I guess we should move on to
Lads, you might have to do a part two for this one, or you might have to
Yeah.
no, I
Um.
think we just
No.
quickly
Let's
talk
Because
about
let's
Red
move on
Pill.
to the next
yeah,
one.
to be honest with you, looking at our list, we've kind of covered why red pill has become so popular. It's because of sort of
Yeah.
like the whole feminist, like this whole man versus woman thing. So that sort of caused
No,
it.
I don't think that 100. I think there's more to say on that. But
Okay, so me and EK agree on that. So you can give your point, and then we'll move on, I guess.
so I think with why it's become so popular. Why has Red Pill become so popular amongst young men? You gave a good example, personal example about how Andrew Tate affected you, Ibrahim. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel like currently in this day and age, the biggest movements, obviously, I'd say probably the left on the political spectrum are probably bigger, right?
Mm.
They a lot of the times forget about young men.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's part of my point.
They sometimes forget that young men also have like needs and are human and want to be acknowledged and accepted. Which is why I think Jordan Peterson was quite a good guy. Like he was meant to be like he was the Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate came along, but he was actually intelligent, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And his arguments were always basically trying to solve masculinity, right, as a problem, the crisis of masculinity that we're feeling right now. Because so many young men feel like society doesn't have a place for them anymore.
That
Right?
is exactly my point. So we agree
And that's
on
really
that.
sad. That's really sad, especially
Yeah,
because
it's
men
very
tend to
upsetting.
have much more volatile mindsets than women, which is why we tend to commit suicide a lot more, right?
And also, anger is seen as a bad thing, but that's what testosterone gives us. That's one of the big, crucial male emotions.
No, I think you
Whereas
should be
with
able to
women, they
control
feel
your
more
anger.
sad.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
you
think
should
about it like
control
this,
your
right?
anger.
If a man and a woman are arguing and the woman expresses sadness, but the man expresses anger, they're both emotions. Like, we're not saying anything's
Yeah,
happening.
but one
They're
of
both
them's a
emotions,
bit
but the
more.
anger is seen as villainized, even if
No, but
nothing happened.
anger can be dangerous. That's the problem, innit? So,
That's the thing.
um,
Even if it's not dangerous, though, even if we assume it's not dangerous, the
no,
anger.
but it can be. It can be.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why it's
I'm saying
considered.
like the scenario has happened. The man and the woman have argued. Nothing came from it. It's a day later. If you told that example to someone, even with that information, the anger is seen as abusive. It's seen as, even if nothing happened, it's seen as the negative emotion in the entire
No,
thing. Yeah, it
I
has
don't agree with
potential.
that.
It has
I don't agree
potential.
with that.
You don't think anger is a negative, like seen as more negative than being upset is?
No, yeah, it is, but that's because I think it's a more dangerous emotion with
It
how
can
it
be
can.
dangerous, but it's
That's
also
what
the
I'm saying.
emotion that men show more.
I
That's
know,
the
I
thing.
know. But men are bigger, stronger, and so if you have an emotion like anger against a woman who's sad, it's an unbalanced podium. Do you get what I mean? Right? So
I don't
if
know. I think they're both emotions that both can lead to
no, they're both
negativity.
emotions, but the reason why anger is more is because anger is more dangerous, which is why
So
I think you
you're
should
connecting
control your
emotions to
anger.
actions. You're connecting
Yeah,
emotions
yeah,
to actions.
yeah. Your
Mhm.
emotions don't influence your
But I'm
actions.
saying emotions are like when there's no. I'm taking actions out of the equation. I'm saying that the day has passed, nothing
You're
happened.
basically making a scenario where this doesn't exist.
I'm
This doesn't
showing
exist.
off. I'm showing you where the biases are. Even when
No,
there's
no,
no
okay,
action,
but you're
the
constructing
natural
an
bias is
example.
still.
You're constructing an example that doesn't exist.
You're
That's what
telling
I'm
me that
saying.
man can't get angry and control their emotions and do nothing. That's not a
No,
real
it
example.
can, it can, but there's a reason why it's a negative option because there's a possibility
So
you
that's
can't.
exactly what I'm saying. A man is
But
angry at a woman.
you're drawing
Woman
the
is upset. The
actions
man
out.
controls
You're
his
drawing the
emotions.
actions out, which is impossible. It's an impractical model. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Yeah,
how is
but
that how is that?
yes, it's an
I literally
emotion.
gave you
It's
an
an
example
emotion.
of something that can happen. It's not
But-
impractical. It can happen.
Yeah, it can happen, but it's also possible that something else might happen. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I
That's why
said
it's a more negative
I took the
emotion.
possibility out because it's a day later. That's why I said the
Well,
days
okay,
passed.
okay, no. I don't think that's the. I think that's a dumb argument. Anyway,
All right, well, we'll have to pick
I
up that
just
because it's
disagree
already
with you.
been it's 3 o'clock now, so we're gonna have to end this soon. We still
Yeah.
have to talk about. We didn't really talk about what the definitions of red pill are. I didn't expect us to talk about man and woman gender wars for too long, but we ended
That's
up
because
doing that.
you did it, man. I told you
I'm
you should
glad.
move on,
You know what?
and you were
I'm glad
stuck
that
on
we did
like.
though, because
Yeah.
one thing that I don't like is when we talk about something and then we leave it half baked because we want to move to the next thing. I'm glad we're like going through topics properly and really going through them because we can always
Okay.
talk about this at another time, but just half
Yeah.
baking every topic is not a good thing. So we'll pick this up another time, surely.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
you
do
just-
We
like
should do. If EK is up for the next episode, we should do racism again.
Yeah.
we could do like
Yeah.
a combined like what's it called? What we missed episode where we talk about red pill and racism. We just combine the two.
Yeah, but what would we? Okay, fine. Okay.
Like the ones we missed out on the last. Actually, to be honest, we have a lot of racism to talk about. That wouldn't work. Okay, fine. We'll do racism 2, and then we'll do red pill 2, and then we'll see.
Okay.
Because we do have a
Okay.
lot
Alright.
to talk about. So, but I'm
Alright.
glad we spent time on it. All right.
Last thoughts then.
Mhm.
Last
Yeah.
thoughts.
Final thoughts. Any final thoughts? Why don't you go first, DK? Guess.
No, no, one of you go first. One of you go first.
All right, Sona,
Okay.
you got the floor.
Red pills become very popular because the left has forgotten about young men. Red pill can be dangerous, right? There are some podcasts that encourage some really, really stupid, dumb behavior from men. I like Fresh and Fit is the good example. I just think that whole podcast is about how dumb women are and how amazing men are, right?
And like at whatever podcast as well.
Yeah, honestly, these podcasts hurt my soul to watch, right? And I don't even have a soul. That's the crazy thing, right?
Oh, we're very aware.
It's just honestly, it's just like these people. They get like these dumb 18-year-old girls who have never even had a job, and they just ask them these complex social issues, and then they bring on some 45-year-old man who has a family and 2 kids to like explain to them why they're so dumb. Like,
It's
come
always
on, man.
OnlyFans models. It's always OnlyFans models as well.
I could never date an OnlyFans model. I'm just saying, but
Never.
yeah. So I think that I think it's a little bit cringe. Red pill. I think you need to get over yourself and stop crying, and learn to be a man in it. Anyway.
Mhm.
That's a very red
Yeah.
pill thing to say. Learn to be a man.
You shouldn't know. You shouldn't have it be taught to you by someone else who's claiming
Yeah.
to know what being a man is.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? Because masculinity
We were
is
born a
so-
man. That's what you are. That's
That's
it
that's the
now.
thing. Like a lot of masculine like tropes are kind of stamped out in school and stuff. Like, you know, the male aggression is not supposed to be a good thing. You know, that's kind of stamped out and
Any aggression,
things like
any
that.
aggression is a bad thing. Any aggression is a
But
bad thing.
that's what men do a lot. It doesn't have to be. If you took out like there are healthy ways to do that. Like for example, sparring in a healthy environment. That's a healthy way
Yeah,
to
so
get
do
that
that
out.
then. No one's stopping you from sparring. Go
No, but that's the
boxing.
thing. That kind of
fine.
idea is
Mhm.
kind of suppressed as a lot. Is that anger is
How?
suppressed? That kind of idea. Instead of showing that anger exists and saying, here's how you take it out healthily," we say, "Oh, don't be angry," or "Control your anger, bottle it up." That's the kind of ideas we have. That's what the whole point I was making.
I've never had that, but I feel
Well,
like
I
you
mean,
and I
I've
have
seen
had
it.
very different experiences growing up, Ibrahim.
That's sort of a thing, isn't it? Like your inner biases in your childhood will affect your opinions. That's why
I
a
never
lot of
had
people
that. If I
disagree
got,
on things.
I think I can control my anger.
Oh, I
I've
can
always
too.
had to control my anger. I've always had to.
I'm not saying
Because
I
yeah,
can't. But where does that anger go if you don't like expose it in a healthy manner? You bottle it up. That's what happens with it, and then you
and then
explode later down the line.
you become mob psycho.
If only you
Yeah.
explode later down the line, you produce a massive broccoli in the middle of the city. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I guess I'll do my
Okay.
final thought.
If no one's watched Mob Psycho, they'd be so confused by that.
I haven't seen it either. I just know that from the thing.
Alright.
I haven't even seen it, but yeah. My final thoughts, exactly like Sona said, red pill exists because of the leftists forgotten about young men, but also conversely, they've also began like shitting on men as well, and I blame feminism for that. I'll actively say it from the rooftops. I think modern feminism is an absolute curse in society for both genders, because what ends up happening is you produce these men that are retaliating to the women, and then these men jump into the dating pool, they jump into society where the women are. So the women are experiencing the negativity, the men are experiencing the negativity. No one's happy. And if we want to solve this problem, the only way to do it is with unity. That's it.
No, but they haven't gotten rid of
Unity and lifting
masculinity.
each other up.
They
Huh?
haven't gotten rid of masculinity. They've told women to be more masculine, basically.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
women.
yeah.
It's kind of like in shows as well, where you have like the strong female
Mhm.
protagonist, but she's just exposing toxic masculine like ideas. Again, toxic masculine air quotations, like ideas
Mhm.
that
There have been
aren't
plenty
like
of
they
strong
criticize
female,
men
like,
for them and then they give it to
yeah.
women. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Anyway, EK,
that's
yeah,
sort of my
go ahead.
point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just a bit. It's very silly for people to go to watch the red pill stuff, teaching them how to be something that they already are. Fashion Fit, for example, freaking all this damn crap about, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm thinking like really? But yeah, the red pill is just not it. It's not it. I feel like even sometimes the things that people watching red pill, it just has an effect. And I think some of the things that they preach as well, when they talk about, it just has a negative effect. And about, oh yeah, a woman should be doing this, a woman should be doing that, a woman. Even sometimes you get the red pill podcast here, it'd be like, oh, a woman should be doing everything that a man says, and that if a man gets angry at her or gets angry at her for not responding or doing what he says, he has every right to be obviously to do what he does. And I'm like, nah, that is too far. That is messed up all the way. You know what I mean?
All right,
But also, yeah. Go on. Yeah, that's it.
this
I was
episode
gonna
has
say
gone
something
on.
else, but I'll leave that
Oh,
for
if you
part
want to,
two.
quickly, you got 2 minutes. Go, 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 go.
What?
EK said he had to
Wait,
add one more thing. Go on,
no,
EK, quick.
that's
Come on.
it. That's it.
I want to end
Yeah,
the
that's
Alright,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Nothing else to say now.
All right, this
I
episode's
still
gone
think
fast.
me and you still disagree on quite a few things, Ibrahim.
Well, it's a good thing we'll be doing a sequel because we'll cover this again. I really
Okay.
want to get into this anger and like the suppression of that because I haven't prepared for that today, but I will prepare for that next time. and
Okay.
so I'll know what I'm talking about, and we'll discuss it properly.
Okay.
Mm,
All right, you have been watching Infallible. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Whenever next time is, because we're not very consistent
Yeah,
with this
yeah.
shit, are we?
There is no like
Alright.
timetable. Yeah.
Yeah.